The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman, and we're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who hope it grows. Special guest, Edith Wiseman. Edith, it's so good to see you. It's been too long. She's with Fran Data. She is the CFE. No, she is a CFE. She's the president of Fran Data. And of course, Lance, right off the bat, Edith, I'm going to ask you, first of all, thank you for joining us. Bring us updated franchising, as I said, it's been way too long. Difference between the registry and the directory, and give us a one-on-one on that. What's going on with that, those terms?
Yeah, that's a great question because these words get thrown around as if it's the same thing. So the SBA has a franchise directory that is going away. Fran Data has the franchise registry, never going away.
I like the whoop. That was.
Well,
and we have audio visual. I like that, Edith. Very nice.
Can I add to that?
Of course.
Edith,
how can I stop?
Franchise directory, woof, it goes away. Well, we don't need it anymore. Franchise registry, we still have to evaluate our franchises. We do need that.
Franchise directory went whoop. So what do lenders have to do as of May 11th, Edith?
Well, as I've been saying to everyone, SBA is getting out of the effing business, which is the franchising business. And I understand why they're getting out of the franchising business. So this isn't something that is like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. So they're getting out of the franchising business in two ways. The franchise directory, SBA's franchise directory, is going away because the affiliation rules have gone away. So the 9 pages associated with franchise affiliation no longer apply. So, however, what is also going away with the franchise directory is SBA's review of franchises from a business eligibility standpoint. So what that means is that now lenders are responsible for the business eligibility review. Now, the SOP has, there's been indications of a 19-point screening system that SBA is going to put into place that presumably will take over reviewing eligibility. The only question that is very much alive in my mind and everybody else's mind is, okay, how is SBA going to validate a franchise's eligibility? So for instance, if a brand is in the personnel services category and they own the accounts receivables, if those accounts receivables are not actually the property of the franchisees, so that the lender actually has collateral, then that's an eligibility issue. So there are still things that are going to remain.
Well, what the SOP page 13 says, SBA will now do eligibility. However, that is effective August 1st. So Lance, today is May 22nd. So what do we do between May 22nd and August 1st? Go on holiday?
You're going to process your loans the same way you did in the 50-10-6 there are some of the new rules that are effective that didn't get paused yet, although don't take a breath, they may get paused too. But you're going to still process your loans the way you did before. Now on August the 1st, it changes. There may be additional changes between now and August the 1st to how it does.
Lance, there will be additional changes between now and August.
But here's the thing to remember about franchising. The Senate and the House didn't beat anybody up on the changes in franchising. I mean, it was not even discussed. So these changes are going to stick, and we have to get accustomed to processing SBA franchise loans the new way.
Well, Edith, tell us what the registry does and what is the service that you offer for lenders.
Yeah, thanks for asking. So the franchise registry is a place where lenders go to do franchise credit risk assessment and to get in touch with franchisors. And additionally, in about 2 weeks, we'll be releasing a certificate of no change for brands that are on the franchise the SBA's franchise directory, and we'll also be we're in the midst of finalizing a certificate for new brands so that a lender will have a signed document that they can use that vets all of the areas that SBA has ever called out from eligibility standpoint for franchise brands.
Are you certifying the eligibility, or are you simply advising the lenders this is what we see happening?
So we're taking all the issues that SBA has ever called out in its franchise reviews, and we're consolidating that into one proprietary document that lenders will have access to have a franchisor sign.
What will that cost the lender?
If they're a subscriber, nothing. If the franchisor is a subscriber, nothing.
Good. So your model is to get the franchisors to subscribe and then make that data available to the lenders at no charge. Interesting. Very good. I like that.
We already have 500 franchise registry of franchisor subscribers, all of which are the ones that are active in the market getting SBA financing.
Lance, you're trying to get in. Go ahead.
Well, in the section that talks about franchises in the new SOP, it does state that it doesn't take away your responsibility to assess the creditworthiness of a franchise. And that's what makes something like EDA's certification of no significant changes, certifying the creditworthiness of the franchise. You still have to look at what is the performance of that franchise overall? How many failures have there been? You know, what are the projected financial statements on that franchise? So just taking SBA's franchise directory, I have to make sure I get it correct, away doesn't take away our responsibility as SBA lenders to make sure we're making good franchise loans.
Excellent.
Good point. And I will say that FranData does credit risk rate every single franchise brand. So it's very easy to look at a credit risk rating and say, oh, look, Primrose Schools, they have a 920 credit score. Wow, out of 950, that's like an A+. We want to lend to them. So it's a very quick assessment of the brand.
Let me ask you, since I have you here, give me an overall health of franchising in terms of how, compared to mom and pop, or just overall, how are franchises performing on Main Street in the current economic environment?
What about Sonic? No.
Well, so it's hard to always overgeneralize because franchising is in 230 subsectors and 30 main industry categories. So of course there are certain industries that have headwinds and some industries that have tailwinds, but our economic forecast is 1.9% growth for 2023. So continuing to experience growth, albeit more in certain sectors. So the sectors that are growing, food, we all love food, and wellness, health and beauty.
Edith, what percentage of SBA lending is for franchises?
I believe it's 20%.
Yeah. It's about one. That's right. Who's hot right now? What franchises should lenders perk up when they see it cross their desk?
Well, so I won't call out any specific franchise. I know.
Oh, come on, Edith, you can. Just between you and I.
But there's certain categories that are definitely performing better than others. So everyone loves early childhood education, though costs there have gone up significantly. Health and wellness, we call it wellness 2.0. You want lasers, you want Botox, you want cryo, you want, whatever you want to make yourself look younger, a little treatment.
I need some of that. Yeah.
I love Edith and the chick and the whoosh. We got to have Edith on more. I love it. It wakes everyone up. Go ahead. I love it.
So, but residential services is also a big mainstay. We're still in our homes. You can see the treadmill in my background. So I'm working from home, just like most of you. So those would be areas that I'd point to as to growth segments.
Very good. Very good. What traps should lenders be aware of?
Traps.
in
Wow.
terms of franchise lending?
I mean, I will say that I heard recently, I've gotten some calls from lenders that some franchisors are pushing back to signing the franchise agreement before loan closing. And so it came up at the Nagel SBA Technical Issues Committee too. And the answer is just because the directory went away doesn't mean you can't, you have to push back and put that agreement into escrow so that simultaneously the agreement gets signed when the funds are released. Otherwise, there is risk there.
Question, Edith, will you be adding eligibility information to your fund report?
So not to the fund report, but on the franchise registry as a note and with the certificate document there.
Okay, very good. Edith, I really appreciate you coming. Oh, wait a minute. Questions hot and heavy. SBDC advisors cannot access friend data. Can't look at friend data to assess clients, and we use the registry for that. How do we assist our clients?
I'm unfamiliar with SBDC advisors, so I'm.
Small business
development companies.
Oh, you guys should have, you guys, if you're an SBA lender, there's a certain level of free access that all lenders have. So
they're not a lender, but they're not a lender, they're a development company.
Yeah, so if they're doing SBA loans, they might do 504.
They're a service provider that's funded by SBA and universities to provide free counseling to small business owners. So typically they might use this in helping a small business owner develop a business plan for a franchise opportunity.
Got it. So the ways that other lenders are, I guess if you're dealing with an individual borrower, would be the client of the SBDC advisors?
Yes, yes.
So it's really out of the borrower's hands. So this is something that it's between the franchisor and the lender.
So they have to work with the lender to get the information.
Yeah, there's no particular way that they can help.
Great. Any other questions for Edith, Joseph?
We're clear. Thank you, Edith.
Hey, Edith, thank you so much. Let's have you on again. I appreciate the update and give us some direction of what's going on. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Edith.
This is an interesting report from the GAO, and they're saying that they flagged potentially 3.7 million recipients of SBA PPP loans having warning signs consistent with fraud. They're not saying that many people had fraud. They're simply raising a red flag. So yeah, such indicators are not proof of fraud. So they're looking at this very carefully. I don't believe that number. 3.7 million would. I don't believe that. There is fraud, but it's not that high, Lance.
No, this is the SBA 19-point check that was done in 2021 PPP. 3.7 million potential fraud loans. It just means they had an element. It doesn't necessarily mean that it was fraud. Now, if 3.7 million is the number, Bob, that equates to about $60 billion in loans.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
the report, I'm sorry, Lance, the report is attached in the dashboard. Feel free to download that and take a look at that. GAO reports directly to Congress. They are funded by Congress, and the reports are for Congress. They are not an administration report, Lance.
Yeah, and I'm just curious what the source is. Was the source SBA's review with their check, or what is the source of this information? But it's certainly, this indicates that at least 3.7 had some element that might make you want to take a deeper look at whether fraud exists.
Well, and I'm just looking at this, Lance. 2.1 million had no wage data. Well, that doesn't mean they were fraudulent. It just means that the data wasn't there.
Well, and I get that question periodically from the SBA on PPP loans that are working their way through the system. Well, I have to remind them that 2021 PPP was for a lot of independent contractors, a lot of Schedule C filers who had no wage information.
Right. So that's, but put that in perspective. Well, what I appreciate about the report is they're trying to quantify this. I think that's very important as we move forward. This can be used as a defense for SBA as there's, they have to reconcile this type of report with, hey, we want to go to PPP 3.0, and they're going to have to do a great public relations campaign to smooth that over if there is no problem. My sense is there's a minor problem, a minor part of fraud, no more than what we've experienced historically, but I don't think it's as bad as some people believe it is.
Well, and Bob, this may be an effort for them to show that SBA was looking hard at potential fraud. Again, they're not indicating that it's 3.7 million instances of fraud. It's just indicating that there is an element about the loan that makes them need to take a deeper look. Very
good, very good. Let's see, Lance, we're going to be doing another SOP webinar next week. Tell us about that. How are you staying on top of the changes and what's happening?
Well, the fun thing about the SOP 50.10.7, Bob, in my initial presentation, my final slide indicated, please expect changes. And within 24 hours, Bob, there were changes. I do expect additional changes as we go along. For those of you who watched the House and Senate hearing, there was a lot of heartburn about different elements. It mostly centered around the relaxed underwriting standards on loans under $500,000. And it did center around the new rule that's going to let SBLCs get, or more SBLCs. There was quite a bit of concern about that. So there could be additional changes between now and this presentation, which is great. Bob, the PowerPoint has it's not going to bed. It's up on the screen waiting for something new to add.
Well, it came out Friday, and it came out with how to apply for one of the new SBLC licenses. The main thing on there is the date is July 30th, which is a very short window. They said they plan on that they put in there that they're going to expand by 3, and they tell you everything that you need to do or whatever. But Lance, I think they've already identified the 3. Is that a fair statement?
It's a possibility, Bob. I'm not sure, but I know there'll be a lot of people scrambling to get their applications in. I had a conversation with a buddy of mine that's been in the business for almost as long as I have, Bob, and we were just talking about this new SOP. And while it does create a lot of heartburn in different areas, one of the things, it's just the modernization of SBA lending. And while some of it's hard for me, Bob, I still use the checkbook register to identify all my transactions. So I'm real old school, Bob. So some of the changes.
I'm sorry, you use a what?
Checkbook register.
Well,
the fun part, Bob, is I go through the drive-through window at my bank, and I'm like, I need a handful of checkbook registers. They have to go dig over in some magic drawer to find them. I'm kind of old school, but SBA lending, there's been changes as we went along, but it's been very similar for 15, 20 years, Bob. And while it's going to change, and many of these changes in the new SOP are intended to help modernize SBA. So an old guy like me says, no, but change is not always bad. So we'll cover the 50.10.7, Bob, and any changes that occur between now and June 7th.
And importantly, what to do between now and August 1st. We're sort of in a interesting time in that things have been implemented and things are being rescinded, and Lance will break that up. Hey, thank you all very much for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great day.